Hi there, and welcome to this lecture. In this video, we're going to explore the final Perl data type, which is called a hash. So what is a hash? A hash is simply a set of key value pairs. You store and access your values in a hash using keys. The values in the hash can be strings, numbers, or references, but as I have said, you don't need to worry about references at this point. Hashes are an excellent solution if you need a fast lookup of values if you know the key. Think of it as a phone book, but faster, of course. So basically, you have person's name and you would like to look up their phone number. You can have thousands of entries in a hash and quickly look it up using a key. Let's look at example to make this clearer. To declare a hash, you can say my percentage sign, let's call it a map, equals parentheses. Now let's try to debug it. So print, dumper, and or hash. Save it. We go to console, roll script.pl. We're going to see nothing. So as before, since we don't have any values, we are not seeing anything in our console. Let's change that. Let's say I wanted to add a key, which is A, that's going to point to a number, let's say 20, a key B, which is going to point to a string, which is hello, and key C, which is going to point to 11.22. If I save this, go back to the console, and I rerun the Perl script, what I'm going to see is actual list values. So positions being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, A, 20, C, 11, 22, and B, hello. And this is because technically hash is a list that has elements following order of key, comma, value. Now the thing to note is that this list is never going to have the same order. As you can see already here, we have item A with value 20, as we have defined in our hash. However, the next value is C 1122, which should be B hello, and it's not the case because the order is never going to be preserved in a hash. So if I rerun this again, I'm going to see C 1122, A20, and if I rerun, you can see as before, the order changes all the time. If we want to access a specific key in our hash, it's very similar to array. So we're going to use $sign, the name of our hash, which is map, but instead of using square brackets, we're going to use curly brackets. So like this, and then we're going to give our key, which in this case can be, let's say C. We save this, we rerun, and we see now what we debug, the variable 1, which holds a value of 11.22. If we want to set a new value, we can do the same thing, very similar to arrays. But we're going to use $map instead of square brackets, we're going to use curly brackets, and instead of the position of an element we want to add, we're going to say we want to add a new key, which is ABCD equals new. Now, if we print out the D key, we're going to say new. One important thing about hashes is that the keys are unique, meaning you cannot have more than one key with the same name in your hash. So what I mean by that is that if I remove what I debugged before, replace it with our hash, save this, and let's say I wanted to add C equals 2 and C equals, let's say a string new. I save this and I debug my hash, and what I'm going to see is that C holds a value of new. And this is important because we have three key value pairs in our hash, but what is preserved is the latter value in the hash. So all the keys which come before the final key with the same name is going to be overridden, meaning this is original key, which was overridden by C with value 2, and then overridden again by C new. On the same topic, it's worth mentioning the keys are unique. So what you could have, you can have a capital C, which points to a value new. If we save this, we print out our key value list, we're going to see capital C equals new, and alongside that we're going to see our lowercase c 11.22. As for the key names, you can have letters or numbers or underscores in your key names. However, once you want to start introducing special characters such as percentage sign or a space, what you need to do, you actually have to wrap your key name with a quote. So if we save this and we debug our hash, we're going to see our key of 1 underscore percentage sign space holds a value of new. And if we remove these quotes and save this, well, you might imagine this is probably going to be invalid syntax. And that is true. Because we see misplaced, underscore, syntax error at percentage sign, and it gets very confusing. Something's very, very wrong. Another useful thing to know is that you can merge two hashes together. Let's say I have my map with some values, and let's remove this one, which is breaking our script. We save this, and let's say my map2 equals new hash, and I'm going to say I have keys low, which points to number 1, and I'm going to add percentage sign and map. Save this, and I'm going to debug map2. So what we're going to have here is our original keys pointing to our values plus the hello 1, which is going to point to hello 1. This is how you can merge multiple hashes together. And you can even explicitly override the values in a hash, saying, I want the C to be new. By debug, the C holds the value of new now. So what happened here, we had our original hash, we merged it into the second hash, we spread the values, so to say, and then we override the value of C, which is 11.22, with a new value, which is string new. So similar as with arrays, you can also access slices of hashes. For example, let's remove the second array and let's print out the first array. Let's save it, and how you access specific slices of a hash is by using @ symbol before your hash name, curly brackets, and then the name of the keys. For example, if I wanted to access A and C, I would say A, comma, C, save this. And if I print out, sorry, I had to use the quotation marks. And if I print this out, I'm going to see value of 20 and a value of 1122 because I'm accessing slice of A with value 20 and slice of C of value 1122. Now let's explore some very useful methods that's going to help you to work with hashes. So one of these methods is called keys. And as you can imagine, it does exactly that. It returns the keys of the hash. Now let's say I want to introduce a new array, which is my array, and I'm going to say keys percentage sign map, which is our hash name. Save this, and what I'm going to debug is the actual array named array. And we go to our console, we print this out, and we see BAC. And because the keys method returns all the keys of a hash, and the hash keys are never sorted, they're always changing, we're going to get back random order of the keys. So we started with B, A, C, now it's A, C, B, and so on and so on. The keys method is also very useful if you want to get the size of the hash. So my size equals keys and the name of the hash. Now very similar what we saw with array is that here we have scalar context and we say I want to see how many keys there are in the map hash. So we're going to get back all the keys in this map as we saw before, but we are imposing a scalar context. So this becomes a list where the scalar context is imposed. So what we should get back now is the amount of keys, aka the size of the hash, which is 3. So another thing is that, for example, if you want to see if a key exists in a hash, but you want to avoid checking condition where it could be false, for example, ABCD equals on def, you can use a keyword called exists. And how we can check if the key exists is we can use a ternary expression. And don't worry about this now. We will look into ternary expression later on. But basically, we can check the existence of the value by saying exists is just a scalar name equals exists, this is the function where we say or map hash. Since we try to access a value, we use dollar notation. We want to check for key, which is called the, and the ternary statement goes with question mark, which says, is this first expression true? If this is true, then we say yes. And then you use colon, which is if this expression is not true, which is going to call the string of no. Now we can print out the exists, save this, go to the console, print it out, and it says yes, it does exist. If we wouldn't use this keyword, and we remove the exists, we print it out, it's going to say no, because, well, technically our key does exist in our hash. However, since we are checking on a truthy context, and in Perl, undefined is not a truthy. Truthy value would be 1 or a string or a positive number, but in this case we're using undef, which is not truthy value. And that's why the exist keyword is quite useful, because it says, okay, well, do we have the key? We don't care about the value, but do we have it in our hash? And in this case, yes, we do have it. If we say, do we have a key of z? Save this, print it out. No, we don't have key of z. And the final useful method worth mentioning is delete. I could delete items from my hash. And how I can delete items from my hash is I'm going to remove this statement and I'm going to print out my hash. Save this. I can call delete. As before, we use dollar notation to access a single element in our hash. So I'm going to say $map, and I can say delete C. I save this, rerun the script, and as you see, there's no more C here. So we have D, B, and A. I can repeat this line by saying also remove A and also remove D. And if I reprint this, here we go. We only have B left in our hash. This is it for this video. We looked at what are hashes in Perl, how you can create and access values in a hash, and we also explored basic operations on the hash structure. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you at the next one.